Thank you for participating in the Hackberry Gully Master Plan process. This webinar will walk you through initial information regarding Mont Belvieu's newest park. The city conducted a competitive interview process and design workshop. A Houston-based landscape architecture and planning firm was selected as the park's designer. We are working with 2 additional firms, both experts in their fields. HDR is assisting with stormwater management, and Crouch Environmental is working on wetland mitigation. Together, we have developed initial land suitability for the park program. We are in the early stages of planning, and we need your input every step of the way. During this webinar, which will run from today until January 12th, we are discussing our approach, project goals, and initial ideas of what you might like to see in the park. There will be 2 other meetings where you'll also have the opportunity to provide your thoughts. We began each project with an overarching vision. We worked with the City of Mont Belvieu staff to create this vision. Hackberry Gully Park will be an enduring legacy for current and future generations within the City of Mont Belvieu. So what do we mean when we say Hackberry Gully Park? The green shape outlined with white dots is the area we refer to as Hackberry Gully Park. It is approximately 200 acres, right off of I-10, and near City Hall and the Barbers Hill schools. At a closer level, you can see that there is currently very little on site in terms of land cover and topography. It used to be a rice field. It was cleared by the city and will now serve the purpose of holding stormwater for your rapidly growing city. If we zoom back out again, we can see that there is anticipated development in the immediate future. So while it may not look like there is much in the area now, this part of town will look very different very soon, and our job is to figure out how to harness that growth and change to create an asset for the community. To frame that discussion, we've established 4 primary goals, and I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about each of them. The first goal has to do with stormwater management and thinking of water as an asset. Secondly, we'll discuss the park as an educational opportunity. Next, we aim to provide a variety of things to do in the park. And fourth, we hope the park will become a destination filled with elements unique to this town and the region. To further the discussion on Goal 1, we think utilizing this land as a stormwater management facility is an important opportunity. As you can see, our site plays a significant role in the regional watershed. This map shows where the site sits within the Texas Gulf Regional Watershed, and it shows our site as the boundary between the Trinity and the Trinity-San Jacinto subbasins. The water that moves through it comes from 2 larger areas and empties out into the bay and then ultimately the Gulf. We have an opportunity to use this parkland as a method to clean the water through our design and planting strategies. The steps on the slide explain the process of cleansing the water while it moves through the site. Given the role and location of this land, it is important to allocate quality space for this kind of stormwater management. It is also important for 2 other key reasons. This kind of stormwater management lends itself to some pretty exciting programming ideas, and it can also help to create a destination for ecological exploration and education, which is our second goal. This is a map of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Department's classifications for the different ecological zones in the Gulf Coast region. As you can see, the region and the site are prime territory for a range of fascinating and in some cases threatened or endangered birds. This section depicts a typical ecological juxtaposition of ecozones, transitioning from the wooded uplands down to the seasonally damp wetlands, then the perennially wet edges of open water, and ultimately the open water of the pond. Each zone provides healthy environments for a wide variety of birds and animals. Our site can be designed to create this naturally occurring habitat. Each of these areas is important in terms of wildlife habitat. and they are also important as aspects of the area's identity. We see this as a way to create a place and tell a story through the landscape, and restoring these kinds of native wetland ecozones is an important part of the vision for this park. Goal 3 deals with park programming. We looked at the programming opportunities, and what we mean when we say that are the things to do in a park. So we looked at those at many of the larger parks within an 18-mile radius of the Hackberry Gully site, and we determined that of the 23 parks in the area, there are 17 with playgrounds. There are 17 with sports, either sports fields or opportunities to play sports. There are 5 with bird watching, either bird watching structures or designated areas. There are 5 with fishing piers or designated fishing areas. There are 4 with vending opportunities, either from concession stands to sit-down dining. There are 3 with kayaking. There are 2 with biking, mainly bike trails. And there are 2 with amphitheaters. All of this information begins to tell us the story of the types of the activities that are in abundance nearby and what kinds of things we may be able to provide to create a different set of experiences here. So given the environmental and ecological parameters of the park, there's a substantial area of the park that can be dedicated to focused, intensive programming, such as an event lawn or an amphitheater. And we have nearly 40 acres available for these kinds of activities. But it is critical to understand that the areas in between the environmental elements, and in many cases the environmental elements themselves, can be part of the park's programming and support a unique and interesting environment. Because of this, we will consider all 200 acres when creating the park's program. Here's a map of other destinations that attract visitors from throughout the region, the state, and the country. We're envisioning Hackberry Gully as that kind of an asset, a tool to help bring people into the community, generate revenue, and make Mont Belvieu a truly special place to visit and live. Our hope is to create a park that becomes a wonderful asset to your community, utilizing these 4 goals as a guide, and we would love your feedback to do so. We have upcoming meetings on which the city will continually update you, and we have a survey based on this presentation with images of things you might like to see in the park. The link above should take you to the survey, which will take no more than about 5 minutes of your time. Thank you thus far for your time and your continued participation.